Hello again, everybody.
Hello.
Time for a chat.
Coming close.
Yes.
Don't be shy.
Except we don't have anyone to do the zoom to make it look like you can
That's
be
okay.
close. So just sit a bit closer to your
Just
screen.
move closer to
Yeah.
the screen.
Push a chair in a bit.
Yeah. Let's get intimate. And let's talk about what you're actually, if I do talk about vajayjays, I'll get in trouble.
Yes, you will.
You know what? Vajayjay is such a stupid word.
It grinds me.
It's just dumb.
Hey.
Yeah. One of the first things that Viola said when she came into my house today was, "I hate the word vajayjay."
Stop using it.
It's a terrible word.
It's a terrible word.
It's not what it is. And
No.
you know, we got into a discussion about this idea of naming body parts after things that it's not. You know, instead of calling them what they
vagina.
are. It's a vagina.
Ladies, you have a vagina.
Boys, you have a penis. They're just words, and they are scientific, anatomical words. It's what they are. It's like going, oh, you know, me and my, you know, straw.
Oh dear.
My hair. You know, or you know, okay, you can refer to your nose as your honker or whatever, but you know, you don't really. It's your nose, it's your eyes, it's your mouth, it's your fucking vagina. I get really worried a lot of the time with this idea of, you know, naming body parts different things when you're teaching children, because somehow there's something to be shameful about having a vagina or a penis, and thinking that these kids are going to sort of figure it out later. I mean, you have a responsibility, I think, to teach kids to not be ashamed of their body, and to sort of belittle parts of their body by giving it like cutesy names, like a pee-pee or a
vajayjay,
or a vajayjay, or a genie, or a giny. No.
My kids used to both refer to pee-pee when they were really little. And I don't know, in Australia, fish and chip shops often have a big poster up of all these different types of fish that are used as seafood. And my son's about 2 to 3 years old, and he's passing the time going, "What's that?" "That's a shark." "What's that?" "That's a flounder." "What's that?" And it was a shellfish called a pippy. And I said, "That's a pippy." And he just paused, and his comic timing was perfect. And he just paused and went, "Really?" And then they burst out laughing. And so for the next 10 minutes while we're waiting for our fish and chips, I'd be, "What's that?" "That's a trevally." "What's that?" "That's a leather jacket." "What's that?" "That's a pee-pee." It's like the joke didn't get old, so, you know.
And, you know, and I understand with very little kids, I mean, you know, sometimes kids can't actually say the words, you know, so pee-pee and giny and all that is
building words. It's like a child saying mama instead of mother or mother.
And that's you know, valid.
They're formative words.
What I have a problem with is when you call it something that is just completely unrecognisable by anybody else in the world to what you're referring to. And this can be really dangerous. And I mentioned a story to the guys before about in my, you know, past life when I used to be a childcare worker and, you know, looked after kids all day. And we had we did a workshop. We used to do a lot of in-service workshops and training and things, and one of these workshops was called Sexuality in the Sandpit, and it was basically how to deal with very little children's, you know, not so much sexuality, but the idea, because kids are exploring themselves, there's a whole lot of you show me yours, I'll show you mine, there's a whole lot of playing, there's a whole lot of, you know, exploration, and just how to deal with it, how to talk about it, how to, you know, explain it to the kids and things like that. And the presenter was telling us this story that just, you know, broke my heart about this little girl who went up to her teacher one day and said, "Miss, Bobby keeps trying to touch and play with my koala bear." And the teacher just looked at the little girl and said, "Well, Bobby just probably wants to be your friend. You should share your things. It's really nice to share."
I was thinking it's a little toy koala.
What else would it be?
Yeah, well, as it turns out.
As it turns out, unfortunately, this little girl referred to her vagina as her koala bear because that's what her mother told her it was called. And there was a few months before the school actually found out, you know, before it turned into a massive issue and realised what was going on. Heartbreaking for the child, for the parents, for the teacher that now has to live with the sort of, you know, guilt of, oh my God, I told this child, let them do it.
Yeah.
and I put the blame pretty much on this child's parent for not allowing them, and to even not to say that, okay, we'll call it a koala bear at home because we think that's a nice word, but this is called a vagina, you know, and this is called a penis, and this is, you know, and also to explain to your kids what's right and what's wrong and inappropriate touching. But to the fact that this child had said to her teacher, I don't want to, you know, I'm uncomfortable with this. I don't want to let you play with my koala bear. Oh, sharing's lovely. We all share our things. It's what makes the community grow. Really dangerous, really disturbing, and I don't think that would be a solitary case. I really don't. You know, it's frightening, and I think that, you know, this idea of being ashamed of nudity and ashamed of body parts just leads to greater problems. It's a vagina, it's a penis, it's no more different or ruder or anything than your earlobe. It's just a part of your body that has a function.
Yeah. I'd just like to point out that as a young adult, I do not have children. And it's all very well for me to come out and say, you should teach your children how to do this. But I'd like to just say, thumbs up to my parents for sitting me down before I started preschool and said, this is what a penis is, this is what a vagina is, and going out to the library and bringing home child-appropriate material, which is freely available to everyone, and with the internet even more easy to access. And that's the thing. If this is what a period is, this is what sexual intercourse is, so you know what is happening to you.
Like, if you're not comfortable talking to your kids about this, and I understand it can be, you know, when it does come to talking to small children about sex and things like that, it is hard and scary, but there's a wealth of resources out there. You know, like Viola said, library, bookshops, the internet.
Your GP.
Your maternal health nurse, or the child's doctor, or all these people.
The nurse facility at their school.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many people out there, and so much information out there. And really, you know, and I've written about this many times, and I've got, you know, I've been published in, you know, women's and mother and baby magazines talking about how to talk to your children about sex. It's really easy because you don't have to go into great detail at all. Kids are pretty...
They don't need to know.
...cluey about things. All you have to say is, that's a penis, that's a vagina. They go, okay, and off they go. They don't actually need to know anymore. And as they get older and they ask their questions will be very simple, and you just answer the question. You don't have to go into detail.
It makes it a big deal.
Yeah, ignorance is really dangerous. Like, there's the accidental thing, like saying with kids, but it's a known thing that predators do is...
They share,
they share secret knowledge with the kids. I'm going to tell you something special. And if the kid's being kept in ignorance, it does say, ooh, this is special. I'm being treated like a grown-up by this. And it's a horrible way children and teenagers and adults are manipulated. Their ignorance is exploited.
Because an ignorant child grows up into an ignorant teenager. And if a child isn't given the tools and the equipment to know what is what on their body and what is what on other people's body and what is appropriate and what is not appropriate and things like that, then they get to be, you know, a little bit older, and they start going through hormone changes as puberty sets in and things like that, and they have no idea what suddenly all these sensations and rushing of blood and feelings and emotions that go through them. And I know that's going to be hard to navigate, whether they know it's called a penis or a vagina or, you know, anything like that. But there are certain ways that you can minimise harm while they're navigating these sort of these experiences that they're going to go through.
Yeah, it's like I was saying with my parents. My parents always made it very clear that what it was, what intercourse was, and if it ever happened to me, I was to come and tell them. And it made it very easy for me to be honest with them about that. It just broke down that barrier so easily that as a child, I felt that if someone was to touch me inappropriately, I would have somewhere to go. I would be confused about what was happening to me.
The way that I react and interact with my daughter, she's 9, and she's very aware of what's right, what's wrong when it comes to personal space and personal, you know, touching and
it helps protect
all that. It really does, and she knows as well that if something was to happen that made her uncomfortable, that she has me or her dad or, you know, a few other people that she can go to say something happened that made me uncomfortable. But without that knowledge that I've given her over things, who knows what goes through, you know, a mind of such a small child when something happens that makes you uncomfortable, that you haven't been given any kind of outlet of something, you know, somewhere to go to talk to us, or knowledge that that's why it's inappropriate as well. I mean, it's not just the fact that it's wrong, but it's telling them why it's wrong.
Yeah, so they get a greater understanding of it.
So, use the proper language. Ignorance, not a good thing for anyone.
Not always bliss.
Yep, and speaking of ignorance, you can always ask us questions. We like questions.
We do.
You find us on Twitter or just in the comments here or messages. Yes, a decent amount of experience here. Can answer questions, I'm telling you, boy jingos.
We could add up all the years of experience, but then we'd just feel really old. So
ouch. Ouch. We mentioned that. Okay, good. Okay, so
it's
I'm
okay I
old.
mention it because I'm not the oldest.
No, you're not. I don't know who is. Yeah, we'll leave it at that, and we'll see you again soon. I'm being condescended to.
Bye.
I'll accept it.